Who needs those bunch of misfits when you have a plumber with a vacuum cleaner strapped to his back and a flashlight for a weapon? Hey, this is Zero at ReviewZoneHD, and I'm bringing you guys a review for Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon on the 3DS, which is also known as Luigi's Mansion 2 overseas. And this game has really racked in a lot of positive reviews. It's currently tied for the 10th spot in the all-time list of highest rated 3DS titles on Metacritic. And if I had to sum up this game in one word to describe what it does best, I would have to say creativity. You really have to use your noggin to get through sections of this game, which sometimes can require running in circles in tedious fashion as you look for some nook or cranny that you may have missed to get into the next section. And the puzzle solving and exploration is what makes this game a lot of fun to play. It reminded me a lot of exploring Maniac Mansion or the original Resident Evils for the first time. You just never know what to expect going into every new room, and there's plenty of secrets to be uncovered as you're playing. But it's not all sugar and roses like some of these reviews will lead you to believe. There are some downsides worth discussing, such as the game's difficulty, how it can spike, and the checkpoint system. 90% of this game is way too easy. Anytime you fight a new ghost or a new boss, you may have a tough time at first, but once you learn their pattern, you pretty much breeze through those fights going forward, with the exception of about 3 really tough boss fights in the game. And I actually had 4 game overs on a specific boss fight that takes place in a clock tower near the end of the game, and a lot of the stages are set up with the boss fights or mini boss battles at the very end of the stage. Almost all of the stages take between 15 to 20 minutes to complete if you're not doing a speed run, and if you die at the end of the stage, your only option is to restart the entire stage all over again, and it completely erases all the items that you may have collected along the way. Trust me when I say this is very frustrating on this game. As easy as the difficulty is, when it does throw something really tough at you, it really can start to suck because of the way the combat plays out when you're outnumbered. This really poses an issue because Luigi's so slow. He also has canned animations, so you're frozen in place for a half second after you activate certain moves, and it's sometimes also hard to angle your shots where you want them because of the 3D space. Another minor annoyance is how the missions are broken up. You essentially run through each new mansion with a lot of inaccessible areas at first. You complete a goal or two and then you're warped back to your home base where the professor gives you your next mission, which a lot of times is going to send you right back to the entrance of the same mansion that you just left. And you're going to have to run back through the whole entire thing again and try to figure out what door or area you now have access to. The problem is that you end up running through the same areas multiple times, which is a cheap way to extend the gameplay. It's nice in a sense that you can find little secrets here every time you go back through it, but bad in a sense that you're sometimes going to end up running in circles trying to figure out what invisible item you need to uncloak or what small item you need to collect to progress. At one point I ran through an entire mansion multiple times for about a half of an hour because I missed a very small rope that was hanging from the top of a ceiling in a tiny room, which was the only way to progress into the next area. But back to the positives, it does a great job of being creative with the environment. In one room I needed to spin a ceiling fan until it dropped a section down. Another section had me pulling an ice cube out of a freezer and holding it over a stove until it melted and revealed a secret item that I was hunting for. And there are plenty of secrets like that stashed away in almost every room that you go through. It's just a shame that all the secret items that you collect don't really strengthen your character all that much. Once you collect enough money, you unlock the next minor upgrade with your vacuum or flashlight, but it's very generic and very automated. There are titles on the 3DS that are so good they're worth buying the handheld to play, and while I will agree this is an incredible game worth playing and picking up if you own a 3DS, I don't think it's got enough of a lasting appeal to be a reason to go pick up the system just to play this one game. I did test out the multiplayer, and while it works great, there isn't much substance behind it. It's a nice distraction away from the single player and worth spending a couple hours in, but beyond that I can't really see a lot of people coming back and playing it on a regular basis because of its arcade style setup. This single player gives you plenty of reasons to replay through most stages, but the repetitive nature of the combat's most likely going to deter most gamers from repeated playthroughs. I had a lot of fun playing through this game once, but it's not an experience that I would want to do all over again. And other than collecting a few hidden gems, I can't see much point in it unless you're a completionist going after everything the game has. So final verdict on this, if you own a 3DS, then yes, it's worth a day one purchase. If you don't own a 3DS, I wouldn't recommend buying the handheld just for this one game. Anyways, this is Zero at ReviewZoneHD, and thanks for stopping by.